What could be better than chicken soup for the soul? Chicken noodle soup, of course. Comfort food doesn't get any more comforting than a hot bowl of this deliciousness. A quick, simple version of this soup is very tasty. But is there a way of making this soup even tastier? Well, of course, and that is what I'm going to teach you how to cook today. And stick around to the end, and I will show you a simple tip on how to make this soup even more delicious than it already is. So, let's get cooking.
So let's start by making our own stock. Wash and slice your carrots into half-inch chunks. There is no need to peel them, as there is a lot of natural goodness in the skin of a carrot. Just make sure that you wash them thoroughly. Making homemade stock is easy, and you end up with the most delicious soup full of natural flavours, and who doesn't want that? Add them to the stock pot. Next, we're going to add a full stalk of celery. First remove the root and trim the tips, and now chop them into similar sized chunks as the carrots. There is a lot of dietary fibre in celery, and we're going to cook them low and slow in our stock to extract all their nutrients. Now the leeks need to be washed thoroughly, as they can contain a lot of sand and grit between each layer. First, top and tail them, and then slice them down the middle. Now give them a good wash, separating each layer to ensure you have removed all the debris. I mean, nobody wants sandy grit in their final soup, right? Now chop them into similar sized slices as the carrots and celery. Just gently crush and peel your garlic cloves. There's no need to chop them. Slice your onion in half, remove the top and the root before cutting them into large chunks. Leaving the skins on or off is a personal preference. I prefer to remove my skins as I want the final soup to be light and golden in colour, but feel free to leave the skins on if you prefer your stock to have a slightly darker tint to it. And now for the chicken. I mean, what would chicken noodle soup be without the chicken, right? The cheapest and the most cost-effective way is to purchase a whole chicken, and honestly, it isn't that difficult to cut into pieces. I'm going to show you how easy it is by doing it in front of you without any editing. First, we're going to remove the legs and thighs. So cut the skin and then pop the joint out of the socket, then just cut around it, and there you go, the first piece done. Just do the same on the other side. Cut the skin, pop the joint out of the socket, cut around it, and there you go, the second piece done. Next, we're going to remove the breasts. I find the breasts become too chewy if stewed in a soup like this, so I'm going to remove them and save them for another recipe. At the top there is a bone cartilage. Just allow your knife to follow the contour of the bone. Try to remove as much meat as you possibly can, but don't worry if you don't get it all, it's not going to waste. We'll be adding these bones to our stock. Repeat on the other side. And now you have two beautiful breasts that you can use another day. I'm just going to crack the spine and chop it into two, so it's easier to fit into my pot. If you have a larger pot, then you can skip this step. And that's it. It took less than 3 minutes and we got all this meat. Into the pot add the carcass and all the chicken meat except obviously the breasts. Now add the parsley, the peppercorns. Now fill the pot with water. You want enough water to cover the pot about an inch above the ingredients. For this pot, it's about 5 litres of water. This does sound a lot, but remember we'll lose some during the cooking process. And any soup I don't eat today will be stored in the freezer for the days when I need a good pick-me-up. Add the bay leaves. Now bring to the boil, then lower the heat and let it simmer gently for a minimum of an hour. But the longer you leave it, the more intense the flavour will get. I'm letting mine simmer for around 4 hours. From time to time, we're going to skim off the unsightly scum from the surface of the soup. Removing the scum will leave the final soup clear and free from any undesirable oily tastes. Now we're not going to add any salt at this stage. We'll add plenty of salt later on when we're making the soup. I prefer to season my soup rather than my stock, otherwise you can end up over seasoning it. My apologies, but I forgot to record the part where I removed the chicken and strained the stock. I discarded all the vegetables and then when the meat was cool enough to touch, I shredded it by hand. And now for the main event, the making of the soup. Add some olive oil to the stock pot and bring up to temperature. We're cooking on a medium heat. Add the chopped onions. We're going to cook them for around 5 minutes or until they are soft and translucent. Next, add the leeks. We're going to cook them for a couple of minutes just to soften them up a bit. Add the garlic and cook until you can start to smell the aroma from the garlic start to fill your kitchen. Now lower the heat slightly, then add your carrots and celery. Give everything a good mix. Cook for around 5 minutes to allow the vegetables to soften slightly. Add a pinch of salt and mix well. And now for the star attraction, the homemade stock. Increase the heat slightly. We're going to simmer the soup until the vegetables are soft. As you can see, the shredded chicken has been added to the soup. Again, I forgot to record this part. A second slap on the wrist for me. Does this count as a verbal warning or a first written warning? You can be the judge of that. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And now for the noodles. I'm using egg noodles, but feel free to use any noodles or pasta of your choice. Now this isn't necessary, but I like to break mine up as I find it easier to eat in the final soup. Alternatively, you could use shells instead, but I didn't have any to hand, so this is my easy fix. If you want to take your soup to the next level, then do the following. One of the great things about a can of chicken noodle soup is its creamy texture. And to create this in your soup is very simple. We just add some cornstarch slurry. Just dissolve a couple of tablespoons of cornstarch in enough water to get the consistency of milk. Add this to your soup, stirring constantly, and in a few minutes you will have a soup that feels smooth and velvety in your mouth. Cook until the noodles have a slight bite to them. This is known in cooking terms as al dente. Add the parsley and have a final check of the seasoning and adjust as necessary. And when it looks like this, your chicken noodle soup is done.
And here it is, the final dish. Now, there is no easy way of eating this. It's noodles, so you know it's going to slurp everywhere. This is not something that you need to serve on your first date or at an elegant dinner party, but hey, who cares? We're just going to slurp away. Delicious. Told you, it's going to go everywhere. So get yourself a babe or like a child and put it on and enjoy. Try this for yourself and let me know how you get on. And if you haven't done so already, press the subscribe button and press the bell notification so you never miss out on any future videos. And like my friends say in the US, enjoy! Delicious.